Number 5. Abraham Lincoln. The most well-known White House ghost is the shade of Abraham Lincoln, who was assassinated in 1865. The first person to report seeing Lincoln's ghost was First Lady Grace Coolidge, who lived in the White House in the 1920s. She reportedly saw him standing at the window in the Oval Office looking across the Potomac to what had once been Civil War battlefields. A well-known Lincoln ghost story was reported by 20th century British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, who was a guest at the White House. After a long bath and naked except for a cigar, he walked into the adjoining bedroom. Another interesting Lincoln sighting was in 1942, when Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands answered a knock at the door of the White House bedroom where she was staying, and saw Lincoln standing there in a coat and top hat, and fainted. Others said to have seen Lincoln within the White House include Presidents Theodore Roosevelt, Herbert Hoover, and Dwight Eisenhower, First Ladies Jacqueline Kennedy and Lady Bird Johnson, and presidential children Susan Ford and Maureen Reagan. Number 4. Willie Lincoln. People have also reported seeing Abraham Lincoln's 11-year-old son, Willie Lincoln, who died in the White House in 1862 of typhoid fever. Staff members of the Grant administration first saw Willie's ghost in the 1870s. He was seen as recently as the 1960s when President Lyndon Johnson's daughter, Linda Bird Johnson Robb, saw Willie's ghost. He had died in the room in which she was staying, and she says she talked with him. Number 3. Dolly Madison. First Lady Dolly Madison planted the famous White House Rose Garden in the 1800s, and then 100 years later, First Lady Ellen Wilson requested the garden be dug up. But garden workers reported that Dolly Madison's ghost appeared and refused to let them tear up her garden. Since then, an unexplained smell of roses is sometimes experienced in the White House and is attributed to the ghost of Dolly. Number 2. Andrew Jackson. The Rose Bedroom was President Andrew Jackson's bedroom, and many White House employees claim to have seen or heard the former president in this room. They say he is either laughing heartily or swearing heavily. First Lady Mary Todd Lincoln is among those who heard him cursing in the room. Number 1. Abigail Adams. Abigail Adams and her husband John, the second president of the United States from 1797 through 1801, moved to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue from the former U.S. Capitol in Philadelphia. At the time, Washington, D.C. was still just a town, but mostly on swampy land on the banks of the Potomac River. Because the East Room of the new White House was the warmest and the driest, Abigail used it to hang the wash. Her ghost, clad in cap and lace shawl, has reportedly been seen heading towards the East Room, arms outstretched as if carrying laundry. There were quite a few sightings during the Taft years, but some tourists repeatedly saw her as recently as 2002. Lincoln has also been seen in the East Room. It's where his body lay in state after he was assassinated. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please let me know by clicking the like button, share, or write a comment. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can